New for 96. With your hosts, Kevin McCauley and Chris Nguyen.
Did you have a Trinitron? Were you luxurious?
No, my family was extremely frugal. So we always had, Magnavox, Sorny.
Yep. All the sister brands.
What was the other what was he saying? Panaphonics. Yeah.
Panaphonics. I had a I was trying to think if I had a Samsung or a Daewoo TV.
I had a Daewoo. I had a tiny Daewoo TV in my bedroom.
I did too. My first TV, I think, was that my parents let me have in my bedroom was a Daewoo, I think. And that's what got me into cars. Was
Motor Week?
Yeah. Watching Motor Week on my Daewoo TV. It was following the product lineup because you could buy not only a TV and a VCR from their catalog, but also a Laganza or whatever. What is the Nebura?
And the Lanos.
The Lanos. That was
Those were the three. And they were, I remember they sold them at our local Mazda dealer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I had never even thought about that, where they sold them. So they sold them through Mazda?
I think it was just like a dealer group by dealer group basis.
Or do you mean it was Jeff Haas, Mazda, Daewoo, Cadillac?
Yeah, I think so, but they didn't even get Daewoo signage up. It was just this
they
Mazda
were
showroom
probably
now
embarrassed.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
I forget which one was the hatchback.
That was the Lanos.
The Lanos, because it looked like the Saab 900 that I had at the time.
People are going to be screaming at their Kenwood radios that we are not talking about the movie Pineapple Express, which features a Daewoo Lanos.
I forgot about that.
Someone gets run over by a Daewoo Lanos, which is called out by name.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was
That's
you just got run over by a Daewoo Llanos, motherfucker. I don't remember if it's pronounced Llanos or Lanos, but anyway.
I hope it was Llanos for some reason.
We may never know.
We may never know. That's such a good, I feel like that is not a joke for everybody, but the people who do understand that joke, it is immensely good. I forget, was it in Superbad when one of the characters was trying to hit on someone at a party and said, "So I'm thinking about getting a Tercel." And what movie was that?
That sounds familiar, but I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen that.
It was funny.
It was.
Yeah. Of course, I say that I don't have any TVs in the house, which is to say, I've replaced them all with iPads in different rooms because I don't like to carry iPads from room to room because that would be weird.
Yes. So if you want to break into Chris's house, his home address is...
Oh, dear God.
1,
and when I say iPads, I mean Android tablets that are worth nothing, of course.
They're free,
Yes.
Anyways,
TVs. I'm still watching Melrose Place, by the way, and the cars have gotten considerably worse. Heather Locklear has... I guess she upgraded from her 964 Cabriolet to a Jag XJ convertible.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say 993 Targa with the Targa wheels.
No, that would be amazing if she went if she was brand. What am I thinking of?
Brand loyal.
Brand loyal on the show for some reason. No, so and then I think Ford had a sponsorship, so everyone who doesn't isn't meant to be a fancy person drives a Ford of the era. So they just crashed in a crazy scene. A Ford Escort wagon. It was 2 characters with a Contour. I forgot. I didn't forget they existed because we talk about the Contour SVT all the time, but
yes, we do.
I forgot about the normal spec ones that existed.
So I remember especially the pre-facelift, how boring and dull it was, and I'm sure that's what this was.
Yeah.
I remember a commercial for the Contour in like 1995. Like even then, even my dumb child brain, I got the sense of like this was because it was like the whole campaign was about it being this world car. Like it was this world Ford that they spent billions of dollars on, and it was a really big deal. And they had this commercial where I swear it was like a Contour, like it was like massive, like the size of the pyramids being worked on by like tons of people, like as if it was a space shuttle launch or something.
I don't
And
recall
they're
this.
all tiny. And
Yeah.
I can't find this online. Like I don't think it exists.
Yeah.
I might have just like
You may have
imagined
just
this.
dreamed this.
I think so. Yeah.
just like
There
you-
was also a cool do you remember there was like a PAG commercial in like 2002? It might have been like a Super Bowl ad or something, but they showed it was the Ford's like Premier Auto Group, and they showed like all of the brands back when they had PAG. Like they had,
No.
you know, Jaguar, Aston Martin, Volvo, you know, Land Rover, all these brands, and it goes through all these brands, and then it ends with like the Ford Motor Company, like the script, which I think it's like a cool script. And you see the Ford Motor Company all
I liked that from
scripted
those
out.
vintage commercials. I don't remember that one specifically.
It was cool. It was like a minute long, like prestige ad.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if I've been able to find this.
Ford had a good collection of like prestige brands back then.
Yeah. Premier Auto Group.
Premier Auto Group, yeah. Were like, was Lincoln technically a part of that?
I don't know. I think it technically was, but it kind of operated outside of that.
Yeah.
Or it operated inside of Ford, and the rest of it operated outside of Ford.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
They had an office in Newport Beach.
Oh, I see.
For the Premier Auto Group.
Really?
They had this like incredible space built, and then, you know, it became something else when the group was disbanded.
That's so strange. It wasn't in Detroit for some reason.
This was what? Well, so Premier Auto Group was all about like, you know, trying to show a world outside of Detroit.
Yeah. I
Trying
guess
to have
so.
the image of not
So
being
why
stuck
was
in Detroit.
Newport? I have family in Newport. I should ask them if like they noticed this, but for some reason Newport was like the place because Lexus
Yeah.
was based there when they started. I don't know who's still there. Genesis is there, isn't it?
In the area, yeah.
They're in the area, yeah. But then, so is Mazda. Mazda's just in the
Yeah.
area, and so is
Right.
Hyundai. Da-da-da. So I don't know. Maybe it's just more coincidence than anything, or convenience. I don't know. One or the other. Anyways, you're listening to NPR. I'm Steve Yansky with my co-host Nina Totenberg.
Michelle Norris.
Michelle Norris. You're listening to another episode of New for 96.
New for 96.
Oh, I'm sorry. We were supposed to do that in unison.
Yeah, I was waiting for
Yeah.
you.
Now the FCC has finally allowed us to be back on air.
Yeah. I appreciate all the listeners that showed up for outside of the courtroom for that date.
Yeah.
The hearing.
We had
and
the
I mean, I think the support was there. Like we appreciated it, and even though the fine was more than we wanted it to be, it was nice to have like the, you know, to know there was people on our side there.
I know.
So,
and
so
we
thanks
had
again.
the pledge drive. Thanks for calling in, even though the drive itself cost more than the $34.76, which is very specific. Thank you, whoever donated the cents. The credit card fees cost more than that. Thank you. Anyways, no, we've just been on mild hiatus. Again, I think many things going on in the world. So we have taken a break, and we are back now with the same old content. No retooling, I'm sorry to say, which means we'll probably be off air again soon. How are you, Kevin?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
All right.
We just saw each other for a little coffee, a brief coffee
Oh, right.
the other day. And we were
Yes.
talking about, why were we talking about Mercury Marauders?
I don't know. It was about like sleeper cars that were related.
I guess so.
Or
Did we see something while saying? I don't remember, but
it was we you were talking about some other car that was similar-ish.
oh
Oh
man, it's
no,
gonna
I don't
bother
know.
me now that I don't. Yeah, I was talking about.
And Tom brought up the Marauder. Okay, we're
Yeah.
gonna cut out however long it takes us to come up with this. We'll cut out the 9-minute thinking gap, but we need to get to the bottom of this.
We do have to get
It
to the bottom
was
of this, because what did we talk? Oh wait, no, the SN95 Mustang talk was later over group text.
right. I stand by everything I said.
Yes, yes. Mercury Marauder. Backtracking here. I don't know. Tim Allen doing wordplay
No.
here. Tim Allen, Taurus show, grunting, man's bathroom.
Tool Time Band.
Yeah.
Saws. Using a saw as a guitar.
By God, I think I've got it.
Um,
Oh my God. This is frustrating because it started. It's probably not even anything remotely interesting.
no, certainly.
No, 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 no. I'm afraid not. But anyways, yeah, we ran into our friend Danny who does JDM imports. He was there in his. He just happened to show up in his. I think he was in a high ace.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think so.
Because he now only collects JDM Toyotas, because the Nissans he used to be interested in are trash.
But he's
trash to
interested
work
in some.
on.
He's interested in some new Nissans.
He is, yeah. He
The
brought
new
up a good
for-
point.
The
That
new for 97 models.
97's coming out.
When I rode with him, or when I rode with him last year down to the dock,
Yeah.
where we got
Down
the
to the docks,
Celsior,
yeah.
he was telling me then that he was excited for like the 97 cars,
Yeah.
because there's the most iconic Toyota Chaser.
Yeah, and he talked about the Toyota Aristo, which would be the GS, Lexus
Yeah.
GS, but it's the quad
Second-
light one.
Yes.
So, and then I think the Celsior also had a change that year as well.
He mentioned the Stegia.
Oh yeah, the Nissan,
Yeah.
the wagon. That's pretty cool.
It is cool, especially
yeah.
because they had like GTR equivalents.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't like Nissans mainly because they're more difficult to work on for some reason. He works on all of them. But yeah, so he used to have. So Danny is an interesting guy. He'd import them and then he would keep them basically at his house, and I think he just kind of brokered purchases. He didn't advertise. Maybe he had like an. Oh no, he had his Instagram, I guess. But he's had so many like interesting things. He had a Figaro. Did you ever see that?
No, I saw when he had the POW. He brought I saw the POW, and then he had a cappuccino.
He had a cappuccino
For
that
a
you
while.
like squeezed. You squeezed like a pastry cream into because it was very small.
Yeah.
That was a terrible analogy, but I'm gonna stick with it. There was also the Honda B1, which was pretty cool too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It looked like a 70s hatchback Civic, but it was like
Yeah.
an 80s car.
And he had the Soarer, which you test drove with, I think, the 1JZ.
Yeah, he had the Soarer. That was the first right-hand drive car I'd ever driven, I think. Do you remember when he asked? Because that's when we met him, and he asked me if I'd ever driven right-hand drive before, as he handed me the keys, and I said no, and he had that look on his face. But I stayed in the lane, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
And I drove your Celsior last weekend
You did, yeah.
because we had to move. You were moving cars around.
Yeah.
So I helped you.
Yeah, I hadn't started it in a while, probably just a month, but yeah, you've driven it twice, thrice?
Yeah, maybe like 3 times.
Yeah. How was the
Once was just
experience?
around the block just to move it when your 911 was breaking down or
Yeah,
something.
I noticed that you were driving by feel because I could see the sparks from the rims sliding against the curb so that you could find a point of a relative point to guide yourself by.
You didn't tell me it didn't have curb feelers.
Um, how what you said that like you picked it up very easily, which is like I'm not a huge JDM person, but I am a proponent of right-hand drive variants just because they're so much cheaper than their left-hand drive equivalents. So you can, if you get used to it, which you do very easily, you can have a very low mileage, cool car for not a lot of money. But
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was cool. Like we were just going like a mile to your house, but um like I said, I didn't like it occurred to me like right near we got to your house, like I was like, oh, I haven't adjusted these mirrors, I haven't looked at the mirrors. Like I was driving fine, but I was so preoccupied with everything that it never even occurred to me to look behind me once
yeah.
in like 3/4 of a mile of
Well,
driving or
I
a mile.
described it as like because it's very disorienting using the rear view mirror for the like if you're not used to it. It's very disorienting at first, and so it's like not looking down when you're
Yeah,
up high. When you're in a
right,
right-hand drive car, if you're not used to it, don't look back just yet
right.
because you will veer into a mailbox. But
Well, whenever I sit in your car when I'm riding with you and you're driving, like I always want to fix the mirror.
yeah, it's
Like I
faced the
always
other way.
because it's like in the right position, but I can't see it. I'm like, oh, this is annoying.
Yeah. Um, oh, so okay. So on that topic, I think I recalled now. I don't know how you're gonna mix this around, but I remember why we
I'm
were talking about
not.
the Mercury Grand Marquis.
Okay, please tell me.
We were
I'm
talking.
gonna mix this around. I'm gonna move this to the end.
Okay, well, fine. We were talking about the Avalon and Camry TRD.
Is that really the bridge that
I
we
think that was the
got there?
bridge. Yeah,
I literally, it's in the
because
notes.
we're talking about the Avalon TRD and like what is the point of an Avalon TRD, like a sporty Avalon, because
Yeah.
it's
Okay,
it's
let's back up.
okay.
What is it? So I was on I-10 last week,
Jeez.
and I saw an Avalon, like a pearl white Avalon with a lot of arrow stuff, like a lot of black arrow stuff on it, brand new factory. And I was like, huh, that's odd. And then I saw a Camry, also similar spec, white with lots of arrow and like a wing with end plates. So I was like, oh, that's odd. And I could tell it was factory. I was like, oh, I think I did see some rumblings about this, but I didn't click the articles or whatever. But yeah, you can get a TRD Camry and a TRD Avalon, and
And the thing is that like I think they've been out for a while, and I've probably seen them on the road, but I haven't thought much of them. But since we started talking about them the other day, just the idea of it is it's not absurd, I guess, but well, the Camry's spoiler with the side fins might be
mhm,
a little absurd,
they're
but
called end plates.
end
Yes,
plates.
it's okay. The theory I proposed, you said made sense. Is
Yes.
like there are some people that just like will not allow themselves outside of the box of a Camry or a Cord.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can get any car I want as long as it's a Toyota from this wheelbase with 4 doors and
Yeah.
a lease price of this
It is
much.
as
So
comfortable as they will go,
yeah,
or out
it's
of it.
like, yeah, like, so this allows them to have their reliable car that will never break on them,
Yeah.
but also to have like some bit of sportiness, or at least not have it be like their dad's Camry.
I guess so, yeah. Like dad gets the XLE hybrid and you get the TRD.
Well, yes.
Yeah. It is crazy. Okay, so the Camry, fine. Like I kind of get that. Uh, because there have always been sport variants and throughout the ages. And so it makes sense that the Camry like reads the zeitgeist, I guess, when it comes to sport packages. And now sport packages mean aggressive aero bits. So of course that makes sense that is what's on the Camry, but the Avalon is what bewilders me because a sporty Avalon. One, the Avalon is bewildering because it's basically a slightly longer Camry platform. But and maybe it's just because it's called an Avalon, but it's supposed to be a comfortable, floaty, alternative to the Camry. But instead, they've introduced a package that I would assume makes it harder and less comfortable. So what is the point?
I mean, if you want that size of car, but with the proven slalom performance,
hell yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I think it must cost them like nothing to do this, and then they add a potential new audience for this car.
I could only rationalize it as maybe it's upmarket, as in you're too good for the Camry now, so the next echelon is the Avalon. Except that at that price point, I would figure you would go for like an ES350, or I don't know which one is what now.
But if you want sporty, there is no ES F Sport.
I guess that's true.
If you want sporty, this is the sporty.
The IS then, but I guess it's smaller.
The IS is a lot smaller. It doesn't have that back seats.
I guess if you need the back seat.
Someone who's buying the Avalon needs the back seats.
I guess so. I had a rental Avalon once, years ago. I will say it does have a very nice back seat, and the seats recline too. They're manual recline, but I was impressed that was part of the thing, the package, standard deal.
Yeah, I shot some Toyotas, this was 7 years ago. I shot some Toyotas for Gulf State Toyota, and one of them was the Avalon at the time, and the design really impressed me, and now I can't remember what the Avalon looked like. The last Avalon, I can't remember what it looked like, but I liked the design.
Yeah,
so
the last time I think I paid attention to an Avalon was the mid 2000s, because I think that's when I had that rental car, and I liked that it was this big slab-sided sedan. It felt very executive for what it was, but then it turned all, I don't know. It feels less so now. I think just because every car, I don't want to be that. The argument I'm not going down is that every car is basically looks like every other car now, because they don't. But what differentiates all those cars in those classes, I have no idea anymore.
Right.
So.
The cars in this. The cars in this larger than mid-sized sedan category, we talked about this. There's so few and they're dwindling. It is rearranging chairs in the Titanic.
Yeah.
This segment is dying, and so it's whatever they can do to put some life into it. Maybe that's the angle. Maybe it's everyone else is pulling out of this segment, but we've been investing in it for 2 years and $500 million. So how can we make it? How can we pull out all the stops? Maybe this will be the last Avalon.
Actually, you do make a good point there. That could be a very sound rationale for why they have dressed up this very normal sedan.
So let's look at what's in this segment. Avalon. Or no, I mean, you've got Avalon, you've got Impala, which is dead.
Yeah.
You've got Taurus, which is dead.
Maxima
might not even be bigger. It might not even have the back seats. We don't know what the Maxima is. We may never find out what the Maxima is. And then there's really nothing else until you get to true luxury sedans.
Yeah.
Am I missing something?
I don't
there
think
might
so.
be a Hyundai. There used to be the Kia Cadenza.
Oh God, yeah, the Cadenza, the Kia Credenza.
And the Hyundai Azera.
Yeah, but
I always think of Apu saying is there a chance the track could bend?
That was an offensive accent.
I know.
By the way,
it was a quote from the monorail episode.
My God.
All right.
Well, but then Hyundai just moved those into Genesis.
No, they didn't.
No, not those cars directly. I just mean the place that those cars, the G60. Is it the 60?
No, I mean, but it's still like.
I mean to say like the big nice one
No,
is
I
now
know,
part of
but the
Genesis.
Azera was an Avalon, and the Genesis that would be similar would be
I
like
guess so.
a GS or an IS.
Well, you're the one that clarified because I can't believe you knew this that the current Lexus ES is Avalon based,
Yes,
and the Avalon is Camry based.
that's correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the Camry is Tercel based, and so forth and so forth. But
Yes.
which is the product redundancy is weird. Maybe there is a rationale for it. I mean, people buy it clearly. Well, I don't know how many people buy it, but it just seems
Yeah.
like past Camry, you might as well just, invest into the near luxury segment.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I don't know is now that we're talking about this, like, where is like the TRD RAV4? Because that seems like they would sell, 200,000 of them overnight with no
Yeah,
effort.
probably. I mean, they definitely cashing in on the Forerunner. Like, if you don't want to buy a Forerunner, because
No, I know, but I'm saying like the RAV4. Like, why not make a sporty RAV4?
no, that's what I mean. Is
Because they sell so many RAV4s, so it's
They
like if
do.
you could diversify that product
so what would that
even
be?
more.
Would it be more sport oriented or like fake off roady?
I think either way, do both.
Yeah, because I could see like the trend with, I don't know if like the people who buy Rav4s ever think, not like consider, but just think about like what like a weird AMG or an MCUV is. But if you had like a sporty Rav4,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking all that stuff that is glued onto that Avalon, if it was stuck onto a RAV4,
then it would
this is like,
be
oh, this would be 500% more marketable because
a
that's what people buy.
big CHR, basically.
Yeah, but there's people that don't like CHR and it's not as practical.
Yeah.
And it's
No,
still
but
not
that's true though.
sporty.
Maybe it's just because that is. Do they do that with the Corolla? Like a crazy
No.
trim package? Maybe that's too like meat and potatoes for them. Like that they don't. I mean, I guess it wouldn't cost them much
Why
to add
not? Why
trim bits.
why are they doing this? Okay, now the Avalon makes less sense because it's like, why did they do this out of all the cars? Why is it the Avalon and Camry as opposed to all these other cars that they
Yeah.
actually like sell lots of
True, because it does seem like
that have wider appeal?
yeah, because I think a sporty looking Corolla or sporty looking RAV4 would sell like it doesn't cost them much to add these trim bits, but they could charge so much more for them.
Yeah, I mean the Scion TC was like, it was a coupe that had pretty garbagey mechanicals, but that it looked like a little G35 or something. And it sold obviously a lot. And it was very mechanically primitive and not great.
Yeah.
But I mean, it had the style. Like it seems like selling style in a very like inexpensive package as like a value thing is part of what they have done before, and it makes no sense that they're not doing that right now. Especially since the new Corolla looks really good.
By the way, the people who already know this have tuned out because our credibility has been ruined. There is a TRD RAV4.
What?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It is $35,780. Over the base price of $26,000. So that is definitely a moneymaker if people are buying it. What's that?
Does it look like the Avalon, or does it look like a?
So it is marketed as more off-roady.
Okay.
So it basically just means there's a whole bunch of cladding. So I have no idea if there are mechanical differences, but so there you go. For $9,000 more, you can add a TRD package. So there. Oh no, this.
Okay.
Will you be upset if there is a Corolla TRD?
I would be happy because I like the Corolla. I think the Corolla looks really good right now.
We've been arguing for this. So let's see. I know this is like stupid to say, but cars are expensive now. I'm just looking at you can buy a 28. I mean, I guess it makes sense because you can spec out what is the Mazda 3 turbo? starting like 34,000 or something.
Yeah.
But it's meant to be kind of more premium. Anyways, there is no TRD Corolla. However, there are like I think there are like 10 different variants that you can buy, and the
Wow.
XSE Apex Edition
What?
is the one with the bronze black side rocker panels and rear diffuser accent.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
Lowered sports tuned suspension. And it basically, from the thumbnail picture, it looks like a 4-door last gen TC. Or current. No, I was going to say current gen. The final TC, basically.
Yes. The last ever.
The last
Scion
ever,
TC.
basically. And it does also have a spoiler, although not as big as the Camry TRDs, which is raised, as we'd mentioned before. The more you know, I have not looked into this. This is why we need to have Golson on, because he would have corrected us about 30 minutes ago on all these. Although, if we do have Daniel on, I would love to quiz him on literally the 10 different trim levels that these cars come in now, which is kind
It'd
of
be so
insane.
annoying when he knows all of it.
No, like I am not reminiscing of the olden days, but do you remember when it was just like DX, LX, EX, and that was it? Like, oh, and then they introduced HX, but that was one too far. That was the super
Aren't
base
those
model.
Honda Civic trims?
Those are Honda Civic ones.
Okay.
I guess it was Corolla was DX, LE, and maybe those only, and maybe that no, they didn't have an XLE, but
They had the S.
did they have? Oh, they had the yeah. In the later years, they had the S, the Porsche with the Porsche script S.
Yeah, yes.
That was the
Super.
sport model. Yeah, the super. Yeah, the super Corolla. All right. Well, the more you know.
Because that's what the Porsche S means.
The super.
Yeah, Porsche S means super.
I guess.
It does.
I have not read that in any brochure. I refuse to believe it.
Okay.
It stands for S line, which is another thing that I have an issue with.
Okay. Well, what else? I think we ran that into the ground.
We really did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this is how. Well, one, this is how out of touch we are with like the spawning of a million different models that every car company has now.
I was just advocating like 3 minutes ago for more models. I was saying there should be like a sporty RAV4. There should
You're
be like
saying,
a TRD
well, yeah, you were saying
Corolla.
that there should be like a good model.
No,
But there are
I
like
know.
so many. Maybe they're just like I mean, they are different option packages, but so we complain about like BMW having like. I remember at one point in time like doing a full page screen capture of BMW's full lineup, and like it was so long. I think there were like 50 plus different variants. Maybe it works. Maybe like targeting niche interests, like what the differences are, especially in a Corolla. I have no idea. Like, can you imagine? Sorry, going back to this really quick. Can you imagine going to a Toyota dealership as a Corolla buyer and then being presented with 10 different trim levels, all with their, I'm sure, their own like option packages that you can add on to them as
You
well.
are like vastly overestimating dealers. Like I think that they would say like, "Oh, you're not here to buy like a Tundra like or 4Runner, you know, or RAV4 like we've got these two Corollas over here and this one."
Maybe.
Like they would just stock the most expensive ones.
I would like to think that there's
Or-
someone who goes in and special orders their Corolla, spec'd out just the way they want it.
I hope so.
Yeah. I don't. It's just it's crazy to. I don't know. I'm sure. I mean, even the RAV4. I mean, they don't have as many. There are only 7 trim levels on the RAV4. Here, guess very quickly how many trim levels are there on the Avalon?
6?
there are also 10.
Oh, okay.
Again, there's a new for 2021, the XSE Nightshade, which is basically all black in all places.
I think we're looking at this wrong because I think a lot of it is like you don't so much get options, you just get these trims.
I guess so. I
So
mean,
if
that's
you
what I was
want
wondering.
if you want a certain number of options, it's like, oh, you are bumped up to this trim, and it just comes like this, and they can make them easier where they're not making them fully customized.
I guess so. That's fine. I mean, also, I was obviously joking about like someone coming in and custom ordering like a normal Toyota, but I imagine like most of these cars are then spec'd out and ordered by the dealer to be on lots so that they can sell a car immediately when a customer walks in.
Yes.
So you probably don't have very much of a choice. You have what they have on hand that day, basically what's left over.
Right. That's what I said about the Corolla.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Anyways,
I just need to make sure it was clear that I was right.
I don't acknowledge that, but
Okay,
off
fine.
we go.
Yes. You mentioned BMW in there.
I did a very long time ago.
What's their deal?
Oh,
Have you heard of BMW doing things lately?
I don't know. Have they been doing things lately? Have they been stirring up conversation? Perhaps. I was going to talk about the iX3, even though that is essentially old news at this point.
Called the iX.
iX3.
Okay.
I wrote down iX3 here for some reason.
Because you're frequently wrong about things.
I am not.
That's the reason. That's the reason.
Why are details important? It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Anyways,
what is the iX? What is the iX? And more importantly, what is the iX3?
I think that it should be the iX3 because what I was saying is that I wish they had made that model so much more weird because we've all had a good laugh at the weird proportions and essentially just everything about the exterior design. The interior design is nice.
Yeah.
I think that works out really well, but it's just not weird enough. Like it's not normal enough and it's not weird enough. It just exists in this like kind of middling place as far as the design exercise goes. But I was saying that I kind of wish that it was like a stretched real four-door i3, which is probably where iX3 came from in my notes. But because that would be really weird because it'd be like an electric Honda Element looking thing, which may or may not sell more or less. I don't know. But I don't know. It's bad because it's not weird looking. It's just not weird looking enough.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably do well because it's hideous, but it looks angry, and I guess, like, to people with bad taste, I guess it looks premium. The i3 that you're talking about, a Lincoln i3, while it would be visionary and cool, like the i3, I go back to my horrible experience at the dealer where 3 months, 4 months, 5 months previous, the i3 had been refreshed for the 2019 model. So I went to the dealer and I was there for something else, and I was like, I would like to look at your 2019 i3, which has gotten a significant update. And they said, well, we don't have those. We can let you can look at a pre-owned 2016 i3. And I said, sure. And I mean, the dealers hate the i3 and they hate all the iCars.
Yeah.
And maybe if they have something that is absolutely ghastly and revolting and aimed at people with truly awful taste, maybe the dealer will like it and choose to keep it in inventory. And if it looks this bad, surely it's something people will flock to.
Listen,
maybe.
Nobody is listening right now because once again, they have been flabbergasted by our inability to do research before we talk about something. So there is an iX3. It's just an X3 that's electric.
What?
Which looks Yeah, it's an X3
Okay,
EV.
but how are we supposed to know about this?
I don't
Keep in
know.
mind, keep in
It looks
mind,
better than the iX.
we
Why?
just talked about like I cannot picture. I'm looking at a picture of this thing, and I cannot picture an i3 or an X3. What an X3 looks like.
Nor can I. Although an ad just popped up that advertises the current X3, so now I know what that looks like too.
Hmm.
I agree with you. I also have, except for the first gen, and that's defined what it's looked like for me uh,
Yes.
going into today, essentially, because it's just not something that I pay attention to. But so the iX3 is a thing, but it is not what we were talking about. But also, that's very confusing that there's the iX and then there's going to be the iX3, which I assume they're going to follow iX5, iX7. And I guess iX with no number is the
Yeah.
base one.
I mean, sadly, I guess the iX3 is the one that has the most chance of selling
Yeah, because
and the most chance of the dealer actually, keeping in stock and everything.
yeah, this looks fine. It does not look good. It just looks fine. Like it looks better than the iX no
Yeah.
number does. So, and that's probably because it wasn't trying to be weird, so it didn't need to be weirder in order to be successful in what it was trying to do. I kind of like the wheels of the iX3.
Yeah. What was the? I mean, I I feel like the iX wasn't trying to be weird. It was just, I don't know. There's nothing.
I think it was trying to be weird. Like I think they were trying to like much like many other EV from the ground up exercises. Like they want it to look different because it can be different, but not necessarily. That was the rationale behind the iX. But I don't know. It's so. It has BMW's current design. It's loyal to that, I guess. Their
But
current
it's
design
that
language.
it is like that, but like stretched over like a extremely boring like X1 shape.
Yeah,
Like
basically.
it
Exactly.
has
No,
it's just so
that's
mediocre.
exactly it. And then it just has like the floating roof from the i3.
Right.
Um, so it's just that like it just doesn't like there's and I guess it has the same wheels as the iX3. Oh no, it has many wheel options, but at any rate, yeah, it just the front is. I mean, it's weird just because it's the new BMW front, but then the rest of it's just so very normal. I don't know. And that's it. We don't
Yeah.
have to talk about it anymore.
Okay.
That is all. That is all. So I'm glad that it took another half-hour conversation to clarify
Well-
that iX and iX3 are two different things.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
it's a good thing we do some research during the show.
Yeah.
We also have to just touch on how BMW was showing their whole ass on social media, you might say, by calling people to not be boomers and to accept change. And
What is going on?
if you don't like this iX, that's a problem with you, not with what
Oh
we've
my
done.
God. That is some social media strategy right there. The thing is that it's not even edgy. It's just, it's like half-assed. It's like,
And it's like coming out of the gate like defensive because they know they have something
well,
bad.
clearly, like the brief was that, listen, when this comes out, people are gonna hate it. So this is how we're gonna approach this by being disingenuously uh, defensive, but in like a fake millennial kind of way.
Right.
And it just like it feels like a 45-year-old creative director was the one who prompted the 30-year-old copywriter to write this, and it just does not hit at all. I mean, I guess it created buzz.
It sure did.
There's that, I guess. But boy, yeah, they're doing some things over there.
Yeah, well, this is the future of BMW, so
Yeah, no kidding.
get used to it.
I guess. I mean, that's just. Can you imagine? I'm sure there are enthusiasts of current day BMWs. Obviously there are, but and I feel like we've talked about this before, but I cannot imagine. There was just something, from when we were young, what drew us into liking the brand, and part of that I think was just that it was like austere and cool in that austerity, just like in that they didn't need to say anything crazy, that they didn't need to do something wild. It was just like a good product, and now they feel even internally it seems like they recognize that their products are they need help in order to make sense to the public.
Yeah, I mean, when I got drawn in, it was because of the cars. Like the brand was like, oh, like as I realized that all these cars were made by this brand and that they had these commonalities and these differences, like, oh, like I get this brand. Now I feel like even if you'd
have to be sold
on
it.
Even if you're a fan, you buy an M4 because you've always bought awkwardly named 4s.
Yep.
And even if you're a fan of the M4, I feel like you're buying for the brand.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You are a fan of the brand, and the car is like
you're buying because of the badge.
What they offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and before, you didn't need to be sold on it. Like the car, like literally just sold itself. Like it was just like a good product, even if you'd never driven one. You could read the reviews. It was like no nonsense design, and now. And that's not to say that cars need to be boring, but like there are plenty of cars that are edgier, but they don't need to be sold. You don't need to be sold on the idea by way of like convoluted marketing exercises to convince you that it's good for some reason. But anyways, neither here nor there. It is one of this we've talked about it before, and it will never. At this point, they're not going to change. Like
no,
so
they can't.
No,
I mean, I hope Adrian Van Hooydonk goes down as like one of the worst. Like he is spared the reputation that Chris Bangle gets the bad reputation, but Hooydonk is so much worse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like Bangle designs were. I mean, we've talked about this too before, but like. While they were criticized as being not BMW enough, they were cohesive and they made sense still. Like there was an idea behind the design, and when you looked at all the design lines, there was an idea behind it. And that's why it works
and
now.
You can tell. You look at them and you can tell that like he had a profound understanding of the BMW design language and was like toying with it from the perspective of an expert.
Yeah.
And not necessarily making all the right choices. And there was some bad choices, but there is some like what if this crucial BMW element, or what if this side skirt was suggested instead of literal? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, which I appreciate now more than I did.
Oh,
but,
yeah, totally.
I mean, the BMW stuff now, it is like they are rejecting the tradition, which is fine if you have something better to offer, but they don't.
Yeah. No, and it's just, and that's why I think, like, I mean, like the Z4 still looks great. Like the Bangle Z4 looks great still, and like the E60 is coming to itself, and I think the E90 is coming to itself. Like the designs, like, were kind of ahead of their time, and I'll admit to, like, at the time, thinking that the E60 was like atrocious looking when it came out, or even the E60. I mean, especially the E65. That one is. The jury is still out on that, the timelessness of that one, but
everything except I'm on board with everything except the headlights.
Yeah,
but they really do suck. What was the 6 Series called? What was that gen?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, the 6 Series, it looks great.
I've never been a fan of that one, but it grows on me with each year. I would say, like, especially like when they've since it's kind of fallen out of trend as like. It's fallen out of trend. I think it becomes more attractive in that same way. Like all these models, now that they're older, they're no longer like status symbols. Like you can kind of appreciate them a little bit more. But anyways, no. So it's fine. Anyways,
Okay.
we've talked about this ad nauseum before.
We should talk about the GT3, which was
The new
sort of
GT3.
shown
Yeah.
today.
I don't like it from an aesthetic standpoint. I'm sure it'll be
Okay.
fantastic to drive. But the spoiler, I understand.
Yeah.
Like I've read it. I've read the description of the benefits of hanging it versus essentially deck mounting it,
Yes.
which is fine. And you know what? It's fine that it exists, even though I don't like how it looks aesthetically, which does not matter anyways, because the GT3 Touring will fix all of that by deleting the spoiler completely.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it will be good. It's going to have the engine very similar to the one in the Speedster with the ITBs.
Yeah.
And yeah, the spoiler, it is the Cayman GT4 Club Sport has a spoiler like this. It's called a swan neck spoiler.
Yes.
Mount. And
I've seen that.
Yeah.
It like in road cars, and maybe it's just because my eyes are not used to this, because it's such a functional, part of, or it's such a functional piece of equipment that, like, it's not designed to be harmonious with the car necessarily. It is just there to do its job.
Right.
So that clashes visually for me, but again, it doesn't matter because it will make it a better car, I am sure. So I can't complain about it.
GT3 has always been about doing the job.
That is true. That is true. It has never been the prettiest car in the lineup, but it is, like, it's a good representation, I guess, of the how extreme that car can be pushed. So, as far as track performance.
Well, and the thing is also, like, the way to look at it, because I used to be really not skeptical. Okay, so like I had driven the 996 and 997 and GT3s, and when the 991 came out, I was like, okay, this was in a time. I wrote a piece about this, which is embarrassing if you dig this up. I still stand by this. Oh, I do have some funny thoughts on this. All right, God, this is terrible.
Oh no!
Cut this out. When the 991 GT3 came out, I was skeptical because this was in the time when, like, Chris Harris, like, in his videos were really like getting big, and he would, Chris Harris, like, slides these cars so magically. His driving is so good, and it's like, oh, look at the balance of this car and the way you can control it. And it's like, I'm skeptical of this new GT3 because it's like every time it comes out with more grip and much wider tires, it's like, that is so much harder. That is so much less tangible. It is so sticky. Like, you'll never get close to the limit. Like, the limit, it might as well be a GTR or something where it's just the limit is so insanely high. And I think I had kind of the wrong view because it's not about pushing the maximum of this street car to the max.
Yeah.
It's really about, like, bridging the gap from the race car to the street car.
Yeah.
Like, what can we bring from the race car to the street car? And also, like, what can we do on the street car that will legalize something for the next race car to make it better?
Sure.
So, like, I think the double wishbones are probably part of that. In the suspension, the front suspension moves from McPherson strut to double wishbones, which is cool.
Yeah.
So I think when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, oh, okay, well, the road car is almost secondary to this race car, and it is really, bleeding edge, bringing this stuff to consumers that can buy it.
Yeah.
Which I think is very cool. If you look at in, like, the GT3 series, like, you've got the AMG GT GT and you've got, Nissans and Astons and all these other cars that race in this GT3 class. It's very popular. The 911 is the closest to the street car. Yeah. Like, bar none.
Yeah.
Of any of them. And
sure. Yeah.
It's really cool that they can maintain the tightest bridge there.
I would agree. Yeah. And I think it's part of the heritage, and it's what makes it so appealing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm sure that the 992 GT3 will be nothing short of supernatural to drive. But as far as like an object, a visual object, which again does not actually matter.
Well, also this is black, so it's the worst color for a car.
Yeah, that is true. It does. It does, I guess, hide it a little bit as far as
Yeah.
the. Really, it is just like the spoiler, and maybe a little bit. You were talking about before we started recording. You weren't so keen on the hood.
Right. Yeah, there's like some kind of like giant vents from the bumper to the
Yeah, I guess
bonnet's covered.
I'm glad at the very least that because it is it's so like all the decisions are essentially purposeful decisions, not necessarily for styling. That at the very least, they haven't made it crazy looking for no reason at all.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, how can we just push the envelope? It's all like, how can we sneak this in to make it more functional? I always joked with a friend of the show, our friend Will, about like do you remember on the last GT3 RS, like, you know how there was the vents like behind the wheel arches in the front?
Yeah.
Like, these vents are, it's not a pretty shape. Like, it's not like a perfect like Bezier curve shape. It is
No.
like this weird like, vent like jaggedly cut into the thing. And I mean, and for that, it's so cool. It is that pure function like you're talking about. And Will and I always joked that like it is like, it's like the engineers snuck this into the final, after it was signed off. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
but this will really help, just because it doesn't seem like something like marketing would ever agree to.
No, yeah.
And that's why it's so cool. Like, I don't think it's an ugly thing, but I think it's cool because it's functional,
That's
not
just
because
it,
it's like the most beautiful shape.
Yeah, well, that's just that. Like, this is not a pretty car. No, I will say that no GT3 has necessarily been a pretty car. But I guess the spectacle has never been about that. It's just like what they have done, what they have added or taken away to make it like a better car. So yeah, that they cut those slits in just where they needed them to be, not because this is where they would look best. Says a lot about like
in
the
the shape
purposefulness
too.
of
It
it.
wasn't just a slit. There was like a vent on the top
Yeah.
edge. It was a whole.
I can
whole
refer
thing.
to my diecast GT3. Oh, that one was a
991.
Yeah, it was a 991.
Yeah.
But anyways, that one's in the closet. It was one of the early models I did not care for, so that's why it's sitting in the closet instead of in the cabinet.
But that was a 997, right?
No, it's a 991, I think.
That was a 4.0.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
997.
I've already forgotten about what it was.
If you get the purple RS, that would be the one I'm referring to.
Yeah, I would like the purple RS.
Yeah.
But they are okay. We don't have to go into diecast.
Why not?
Oh my god, because we're running out of time here.
Okay. All right.
All right.
We should spare everyone.
The network only allows us 20 minutes to talk about cars, and we've gone over by a couple of minutes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to be picking up trash on Saturday.
Yeah. Oh my god. Anyways, thanks for joining us again as we babble incorrectly about several cars tonight. But we're glad you joined us. So
yes.
See you next time. Thanks.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
All right. Bye.
I'm calling it quits here.
Okay.
Bye.